All right, so Brian had a question. He's off camera. Brian fishes out of Ludington, a polecat, member, Team Polecat. So good to see Brian here. Thanks for coming. Brian's question was specifically about Dipsy divers. How are we rigging those up? Are you using like a loop method, or are you using swivels on both ends of the leaders, or how are you doing that? And then the second question, terminal tackle, what size tackle are we using, and what style of terminal tackle? So whoever wants to take that one first.
On our Dipsies, I tied the end to the Dipsy. I tie it directly on, and then to the snubber,
yeah. And
then to a swivel down at the other end. One thing that we do differently, because it's a smaller boat, you'll hear the larger the charter boats and the other larger battle wagons that, I'm running a 20-foot leader on my Dipsy. I can't, because I can't get that bait in the water, let alone get that fish in. On our boat, the kids reel the fish in, I net. It's hard to be back there netting, hand lining in, and concentrating on that fish at the same time. So we run 9-10 foot leaders on our Dipsies, and as far as swivel size, I like to use the smallest that I can and feel that we're adequate. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number, but I use the cross lock. I think most, you go into any of the shops up down the lake, they'll have that quality cross lock. One thing I do see people make mistakes of, I can't believe how many offshore boards I find floating in the lake every year. I'd almost feel like I could make a living off of these. And you know what? If there's a lure attached, they're using a swivel big enough to choke a small colo. I mean, it's affecting the
with like
action on the bait.
Super slim spoon on the
Yeah.
The 2-inch swivel and a
seems
super slim.
the smaller the bait, the bigger the swivel they use. So there's just a couple of my comments.
But the funny thing is over the years we've had a similar situation. We actually put those baits out just as we found them, and they catch.
Always, if you find one floating, you always put it on, because usually it's caught fish. So
They do.
But we always use cross locks, green lever usually. But and we do run longer leads typically because we can.
Right.
And obviously, longer the leads, slower the bait, slows your action down. So,
So I run long leads with divers. I run snubbers for pretty much everything. I know, Adam, you probably talk about your approaches. Adam and I have a different idea on that, but I pretty much always run snubbers no matter what I'm targeting. I like them. And I especially like them when I'm hand lining a fish, when I go to grab the Dipsy. If there's a little bit of give with the snubber, I think it's helpful to help me calm the fish down if they're freaking out at the back. I run an 8-turn uni knot. My diver leaders are typically 25-pound Suffix performance. I think it's a really, really good line. I like it a lot. I mean, we've really put that line to the test. And, with the fish being larger the last couple of years, as soon as I'm done spring coho fishing, I'm pretty much running 25-pound. I don't think there's a lot of difference between 20 and 25 as far as, I don't think it spooks the fish. I think they still bite 25, and it's a little bit more abrasion resistant. I think it's really tough, especially on your divers. It's a really good line. And then I agree that I try to step the snap swivel down depending on what I'm doing. So if I'm running, if I know that I'm going to be running pretty much flashers and flies on the divers, I'll use that larger size snap. I don't think it matters, especially if you're pulling a meat rig behind it. But if I know I'm going to put a spoon out on the diver, I have I think it's a size 1, the number 1 size, the smaller size snap. And I like to try to not put a big snap on a spoon. I think for flashers, the little beefier swivel is probably a good idea, actually. But I think for spoons, you got to step that swivel down as much as you can.
Yeah, I actually run 3 different sets of divers. So I have a set of divers for lake trout, which I don't use snubbers for lake trout, and I use usually 30-pound mono. If it's very abrasive where we're fishing, I'll use heavier mono for that reason. And then for anything salmon, targeting salmon, I generally use a snubber, and I use fluorocarbon line, 25-pound on my spoons with a small swivel, and then actually run usually 40-pound Sometimes I'll step it down to 30 for a rotator diver, and that'll have a small swivel, and then I'm always going to a large swivel on the front of the spin doctor or whatever rotator I'm using. And I use all ball bearing swivels. I just won't not use them. I've seen the other ones. It's not even that they don't rotate well, but they get green slime in them. They get sea fleas in them. They get and it stops the rotation. As soon as you stop the rotation, that bait's not working anymore. So I've just gone to ball bearing. I'm using all Dreamweaver swivels, and then of course all Suffix line. So good question, Brian. Thank you. Anybody else?